I would like to start by asking you to think about a tool capable of managing projects in a complete, efficient, and simple way. I guess the Odoo project application has come to your mind, and we agree with all of you, right, Barbara?
Yes, and that's why we're here today. My name is Barbara, and with my colleague Sandra, we're going to show you what's new in Project for version 18.
Before we start with the presentation, here you have the QR code so that you can scan all your questions and you can, write down all your question or your feedback. Don't worry, we will add it again at the end of the presentation so everyone will have enough time to add their comments. And now, Barbara, can you please share with us the different points that we will see today?
Of course, this is the agenda for the talk. We will start by introducing the company that we will use for the example of our demo. We have split our demo in three parts. First, we will show a normal sales and project management flow so that you can see all of the new improvements. Pay special attention to the new Gantt view, the new integration with skills, and the version history. During the second part, we will show you a subcontracting services flow, and we will also share the new improvements in project sharing. During the last part of the demo, we will introduce you to the new top bar in projects and the improvements in analytic in projects. At the end, there will be time for a Q&A session. But stay until the end of the demo because the two major improvements are going to be shown at the end.
Perfect. And here you have our company for today, Groundbreaking Designs, an architecture firm that is looking to manage its project with Odoo and to take advantage of all the new features available. Today, we will present a specific use case about the kitchen renovation project, and this kitchen renovation project will include all the following steps.
Okay, so this is the groundbreaking design workflow. It starts with the sale of a service. When the sales order is confirmed, it should automatically create a project with its tasks. Once the tasks are created, we're going to move forward to plan these tasks and assign them to the right employees. Once this is done, we can start working and collaborating on the tasks. Some of the services that we sell, like the plumbing, electrical, or painting, are subcontracting services. So we need to also manage the purchase orders for those subcontractors. At the end of the project, we need to have an overview of all project-related records in one place. Let's see it in the database.
Perfect, Barbara. So, as you have mentioned, we will start by creating our sales order. Let's open the sales application and click in New. First of all, we are going to add our customer, and this time we are going to use a quotation template that we already prepared. As you can see, in this quotation template, we already have some products and services. For example, we have the full kitchen renovation service that is already configured to create a project with its task once the sales order will be confirmed. As I said, we have other products and services, and even if we are using a quotation template, as you probably already know, we can also modify our sales order. So for example, in this case, I think we don't need to sell the electricity service, so I'm going to directly remove it from here. And once our quotation is ready, because we have our customer, all the product and services, term and conditions, everything is ready, let's confirm it.
Sandra, did you know that in version 18, you don't need to configure necessarily your service in advance in order to create a project automatically? If you made a small configuration error, you can just click on the action button and click on Create a Project. This will help us in case we forgot to add the template to our product.
Thank you, Barbara. I didn't know about this tip, but yeah, it's very useful. And how about moving forward with our initial sales order?
Of course, as the sales order is already confirmed, you can see that the project is already created with the tasks based on our template. Now we can move forward to plan these tasks.
Perfect. I think the best way to plan this task is using the Gantt view. The Gantt view is perfect to see the task in relation to their deadline, so beginning and end date, and also to see all the resources available. Even if we are going to focus on this view, you should not forget that Odoo offers other views like the Kanban view, as we are seeing today, and the list view. So it offers some flexibility for the users in order for them to choose how they want to see the information and how they want to work with this information.
In this case, I agree with you, and I also think that the best place to plan the tasks will be through the Gantt view. So let's take a look. And wow, the R&D has done such an amazing job here, don't you think, Sandra?
Yes.
At one glance, we can already see many improvements in the Gantt view. We have these two buttons to zoom in and zoom out. We also have the new sparse mode. We also have these two buttons to collapse and expand rows. And we have the arrows in order to go into the future or back into the past of our period. And we have the Focus Today button in order to go back to the date. We also have new skills. If you recall, in version 17, we only had 4 skills: the day, week, month, and view. But now we have a new skill, the quarter. We also have a date picker so that you can even create your own custom skills. On the bottom, you will have this scroll bar so that you can scroll across the whole period.
Okay, let's plan now our existing task. In order to do that, we just need to click anywhere in the Gantt view and select one task or a list of tasks, because we have to remember that Odoo allows us to plan more than was one task at the same time. I will click in select, and here we have our task. If we need to assign this task to a specific user, we just need to drag and drop the task, to the correct line. And also, we have here on the left side of the screen in green the progress bar. This progress bar now reflects the time allocated to the task instead of the duration between due dates. This is very convenient because that means that we can plan multiple tasks without generating any conflicts, and it's also very useful in order to see the employees' workload when assigning them some tasks. And it's not the only way to plan our task in Odoo 18. We have a new option, which is the auto plan. If I click again in the Gantt view and I will select all the rest of my tasks, I can click in this auto plan option. As you can see, Odoo already planned our task considering 3 different aspects. So the task deadline, the time we need to complete them, and also the employee's time off. And in case we were too fast when auto-planning, there is no problem because we will always have this pop-up message to go one step back. But in our case, we can consider that everything is OK, so I will simply close it.
Thank you, Sandra. Let's now imagine that we need to perform one extra task in our project. It's our project budget meeting. In order to create a new task from the Gantt view, you just need to select a period and click on New. I'm going to give it a name. Since version 18, the allocated time on tasks is automatically set based on the planned dates. I can just save and close.
Great. And have you noticed all these arrows connecting the task? These represent the task dependencies. For example, in our case, we cannot start the design of the plans before doing the kickoff meeting with our customer. Barbara, can you please explain us how do they work?
Of course. These arrows are there to show dependencies, as you said. If the kickoff task takes more time than expected, you will see the arrow becoming orange. This represents a conflict with the other dependencies. In order to solve the conflict, you can do one of these 3 actions. Either you schedule the first task into the past, you scheduled all the future tasks into the future, or you can just break the dependency. In our case, I'm going to solve the conflict by scheduling all these future tasks into the future. And done. Odoo has solved the conflict for me. Since version 18, the resolution of conflicts in the Gantt view has been reworked in order to provide better results.
Thank you, Barbara. I also see that at a glance, we can easily identify the start and end date of our task. For example, we can see here that the design of the plans will only take 1 day. This makes task management and assignation a much simpler process. And speaking of assignation, at groundbreaking design, our company for today, most of the architects are usually assigned to the different tasks based on their skills. Barbara, can we do something to avoid having to leave this view and to go to the employee's profile to check their skills?
Of course. Let's imagine that for this meeting we need a Spanish-speaking architect because our customer is from Spain. In that case, we can just search for the skill Spanish, and Odoo will automatically display all the employees that have this skill set on their profile. Then I just need to drag and drop the task to the right employee in order to assign it to them.
Perfect. Well, let's imagine that we have several customers asking for Spanish speaker architects. We can also save this filter if it is used recurrently here in the favorite filters. We just give it a name. And we can choose, as always, to set it by default or to share it with other users. In this case, I'm just going to save it. Well, until now, we have seen some of the improvements of the Gantt view. But if you want to learn more about it, do not hesitate to join our colleague Bianca, who will be speaking here in this auditorium today at 1:30. And now, Barbara, what do you think if we continue helping our friends at Groundbreaking Design?
Of course. Now that all tasks have been assigned, what do you think if we continue the flow by showing people how we can work on tasks and collaborate in tasks?
OK, perfect. So in order to do that, I'm going to open one of our tasks. For example, the kickoff meeting. So at Groundbreaking Design, several architects work on the same project, and therefore more than one person is normally assigned to the different tasks. So in our case, we just have one assignee. I'm going to add 2 more. Today, they have an issue. Sometimes it happens that by mistake, a colleague removed a part of the task description that another one has already completed. So let's do it together. In our case, we already have our task description. As you can see, I'm going to remove a part of it. Thanks to Odoo 18, it will not be an issue anymore. Why? Because by clicking in the Action button, we have the Version History option. And if I click there, I will see a list of all the different modifications of our task description. And I can restore the version I want. In our case, we only have 2 modifications. And I will go back to our previous version. I select my option, Restore History, and here we have our task description completed back. As you can see, this way we have solved one of our customer problems, and no more information will be lost.
Not only that, in version 18, when collaborating with another user on the same task, you're going to see the changes that they do in the task description at real time and seeing who's the person that's doing those changes. Also, do not forget about the chatter. The chatter is not a new feature of version 18, but is a master feature in communication and collaboration. In this case, I'm going to use the chatter to ping Anita so that she will remember to organize the 2 meetings with a customer. And look.
Perfect, Barbara. I also agree with you that this allows you to have an efficient communication with your team, but also externally with your customers. Barbara, I have one more point that I would like you to show us. So Anita, one of our architects, explained me that she normally uses a lot the Kanban view, and that she also creates normally some subtasks in order to have everything properly organized in her project. Didn't you tell me that there were as well some improvement in subtasks?
Yes. Working with subtasks is now easier than ever. In order to create a new subtask, you just have to go to the Subtask tab and create a new one. I'm going to go and see how it looks like. This is the new subtask that I created, and as you can see, the project is automatically set on the subtask. It will be defaulted to the project set on the parent task as well. In version 18, you have this eye icon. This button will allow you to choose if you want to display the subtask in the pipeline of your project or keep it hidden. You just have to click on the icon in order to display it in the Kanban view, or click again if you want it to be hidden in the Kanban view. In my case, I'm going to keep it hidden in order to avoid clutter. Let me show you. If I go back to the project Kanban view, you see that my subtask is not really there. But my parent task is right here. If I click on here, I will be able to display a list of all the subtasks of this task. I can even create another subtask on the fly. And save.
Okay, so with all these improvements, Odoo offers even more flexibility to manage your project and your task. Well, right now we are putting ourselves in Anita's shoes, who in her day-to-day life is going to manage different tasks for different projects. But not only that. She also needs to register her timesheets, and as a team leader, he needs to check her team's timesheets. Today, she's quite concerned about identifying which colleagues don't have enough workload and which ones have too much, in order to compensate the situation and to make everyone feel good.
OK, I have the perfect solution for that. But first, let's create some timesheets. In order to create new timesheets, you just need to go to the Timesheets app. Timesheets are there to record the time that you spent on your projects and your tasks. In order to create a new one, you can just click on Start to start the timer. Here, you will need to select your project. In our case, it's the kitchen renovation project. And select the task. Since version 18, we have predefined filters in order to help you find your task more quickly. In my case, it's set to My Tasks and Open Tasks, so I can very easily find the task I'm working on, stop the timer, and Odoo will add the time right there. Now, to answer your question, how can Anita follow up on the timesheet of their employees? In order to do that, she can go to the All Timesheets menu. Here, she will have an overview of all the timesheets of the employees. As you can see on the right, since Odoo 18, there's some color coding, and this will help her have, at one glance, an idea of the workload of her team. For example, Abigail is in orange. This means that she has worked some extra hours. But Beth Evans is in red. This means that she's lacking some timesheet for this period.
Perfect, Barbara. Thank you very much. I think we are definitely learning a lot today, and as we have seen quite a lot of information, what do you think if we go back for a moment to our slide so we can have a small recap of our workflow?
Of course. So far, we have seen the sale of the service, the project and task creation, the task planning and assignation, and how can we collaborate and work on tasks. The next step will be how to create the purchase orders for our subcontractors.
Perfect. I think that before we show this in our database, a short subcontracting description will help us to better understand this concept. So as you can all see here on this slide, subcontracting is the process of a company engaging a third-party subcontractor to manage services that are then sold by the contracting company. For example, in our case, we already mentioned that groundbreaking design ask for partners' help for specific services like the plumbing, painting, or electricity ones. And we will also show you how the project sharing feature has been revamped, because now we have three different options when sharing information about our project. Why do I mention project sharing after speaking about subcontracting? Well, as you can imagine, at groundbreaking design, they trust their partners, so they want to collaborate with them and share some information about the project. As I said, a bit of theory, it's okay, but Barbara, can you please show us how it works in our database?
Of course. For that, let's go back to the project. And I'm going to go to our original sales order. I'm going to add one extra service on this sales order. It's our plumbing service. If we go to the configuration of the service, you'll see that the subcontracted service feature is activated. Don't forget to also add the vendor on the purchase tab. What we want is that when the sales order is confirmed, the purchase order will be automatically created. And this is what happened here, because as the sales order is confirmed, you can see on the top the smart button to take us to the purchase order that was automatically created for our vendor. Here you can see Flashmaster is our vendor, the product has been added for us, and also the price and the quantity. But not only that, we can also see that Odoo has automatically populated the analytic account. For the ones that do not know, analytic accounts are cost centers that will allow you to track the costs and incomes of your project. But also, they are a link that links all the project-related records to each other.
Perfect. Barbara, don't forget to show us how the project sharing options are, because I think it's very interesting to check how our vendor, our subcontractor, Flashmaster, will access to this information.
Of course. If I go back to the project, you see that you have a Share Project button. Here we can add Flashmasters because we want to give them access to our project from the portal. Since version 18, we have 3 different access modes for the partners in the portal view. We have the Read access mode, the Edit with limited access, and the Edit access mode. As this is a very trustworthy partner, we're going to give them Edit access mode to our project. I'm going to go ahead and share and grant them portal access. Now, let me quickly show you a preview of what they will see from their portal. As you can see from their portal, they will be able to see a pipeline of the project. From here, as they have edit access mode, they can do several things. For example, they can change one task to a different stage. They can also add tags. They can edit the description. And they can also change the planned date. From here, they can use the chatter to ping a follower of the task. Or they can even mark a task as done themselves.
Barbara, I'm really impressed about all these improvements. But this is not all. Lots of businesses use project as a central point of their operations, and currently browsing to the related records like sales orders, purchase orders, or invoices is not convenient because it requires switching from view to view using smart button and breadcrumbs. That's why Odoo decided to make navigation easier by adding a customizable tab bar at the top of the task views. So in Odoo 18, we are introducing the top bar. This will help project managers to easily create and navigate project-related records like invoices or timesheets. It will allow them as well to have all the information related to their projects centralized on only one screen. And of course, they will also have the possibility to add customized filters per project and to choose if they want to share this filter with other users or not.
This is my absolute favorite feature of Odoo 18. Sandra, would you mind showing us in a demo?
Of course. So let's go back to our database. Oops. Let's open our project. And here in the Kanban view, I can click in this icon and activate our top bar. As you can see, there are a lot of options that I can display. I will just choose some of them that are interesting in our case. So, for example, and I think with these options, we have enough. In order to see how this top bar works, we can use the purchase order option, and we will create one together. So let's click here. And in just a few steps, I will be able to create a new purchase order directly linked to my project. So in this case, I think that for our kitchen renovation project, we need a sink. So I'm going to add the product. As Barbara has mentioned before, we also have the analytic distribution here because we are in a purchase order. We have the right quantity and the unit price. Everything is OK, so I can simply confirm. One more detail that I forgot to mention is that also, I can create the purchase order, but also at a glance, I have a list of all the purchase orders that are linked to my project. Another interesting option that the top bar offers is the analytic items. By clicking here, I can have an overview of all the costs and revenues that are related to our project. In our case, we just start this project, so we don't have a lot of analytic items because we didn't create invoices or vendor bill yet. One more interesting point is the dashboard. By clicking in this option, we will have a summary of all the project's updates and also a recap of the project profitability, because as you can see here, we have totals of revenues and costs and also some details about it. And just one more detail about the top bar is that, as I mentioned when introducing it, you can save this view. Of course, you can give it a name, and you can decide if you want to share it with other colleagues working on the same projects or not. And just save it.
Thank you, Sandra. If you want to learn more about project profitability, do not hesitate to join Andres' talk. That's today at 2:30 right here in the auditorium as well. If you want to learn more about the top bar, do not hesitate to join Ahmed's talk today at 3 o'clock right here in the auditorium as well.
Perfect. Barbara, I have one more question for you today. At the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned that today we will see the Odoo 18 two major features related to projects. I can imagine that one of them is the top bar, but what about the other?
The other surprise that we have for you today is the analytic improvements in projects. We have heard your feedback, and the R&D has been working exhaustively in order to provide with a lot of improvements in analytics. Today, we're going to show you 5 of them. The first one is the analytic account replaced by an analytic notebook in projects. If you recall, in version 17, you could only link one analytic account to each project. These have changed. The second improvement is that now we can have an overview of all stock moves linked to a project in one place. The third one is that now we can track the cost of materials used in project. Yes, you heard me correctly. We can now track the cost of materials used in projects without the need of adding the analytic account on the purchase order or the bill. We can now also re-invoice materials used in purchase orders. So if we purchase something for our project, we can afterwards re-invoice it to our end customer. Finally, we have a new link between projects and the manufacturing app. Sandra, would you mind sharing the first point?
Of course. So let's go back to our database in order to see this amazing new feature. For that, we'll need to open our project settings here. So as Barbara has explained in previous version, I only had the possibility to link my project with one analytic account, but this approach was one-dimensional. For instance, it can be relevant to track costs and revenues of for a project as a whole, but also for a team or department in charge, for staff, specific service, or a particular customer simultaneously. By doing so, users can track the profitability of their companies at a more granular level. They gain a better understanding of what is impacting their costs and they can budget their project accordingly. And that's why we replace the project analytic account field by an analytic notebook in project. And here we have this new tab, the analytic one. Here we can find a list of all the different analytic plans that are already created in our database. In our case, for groundbreaking designs, we already have 5 of them. This new functionality allows us to add an analytic account per analytic plan. So in our case, we are going to track the costs and revenues of this project, also considering the R&D team. That means that if I go back to my top bar and I select the option Analytics Items, I will be able to see the cost and revenues for my project considering this team. On the other hand, if I open the analytic items from the accounting app and I filter by the R&D analytic account, I will be able to see all the costs and revenues impacting this team, but not only for my kitchen renovation project, but for all the project. This is very convenient because you can see the same information, but from different point of views.
Exactly. Thank you, Sandra. Can you also show us how can we have an overview of all stock moves from the project?
Yes, of course. So in order to see this overview of the stock moves linked to our projects, we need to go back to our top bar. Here, you can see that we have the stock move option. If I select this option, you will find a list of all the different stock moves that are linked to our project. And not only that, we also have the possibility to create a transfer directly from here. So, as we have said, one of the main advantages of this new feature is that you have all your information centralized on only one screen, and you don't need to leave the project application and open, for example, in this case, the inventory one. Let's create a stock move for our company groundbreaking design. As I mentioned before, we bought a sink because we need it for our project. Let's imagine that the vendor already delivered it at our place, and as the material is ready, we are going to deliver it as well to our customer. So let's add our customer as a contact here, and as an operation type, this time I will select, of course, the delivery order. I'm going to add the product as well, and of course, the quantity. Directly from here, I have the possibility to validate and finish my transfer. So as I said, it's very, very, very convenient to have all the information on only one screen. And I forgot to mention something else. You can also see this direct link because between our transfer and our project by clicking here in the Additional Info tab, you will see that also our project appear here. So all the information related to the project is completely linked.
Thank you, Sandra. I will now share the third point, how can we track the cost of materials used in our project. In order to do that, I'm going to activate another tool in the top bar, which is the From Warehouse. Here, we can create the delivery orders directly from the project. In this case, I'm going to use for my project some tools that we have left from a previous project. I'm going to add them here. And I still want to track the cost of these products into my project. As you can see, these tools were 200 euros each. I'm going to use 4 of these for the project. I'm going to mark my delivery as to do, and then validate. Now that the delivery has been performed, I can go to the analytic items, and you will be able to see that here I have a new analytic item that represents the cost of the 4 tools that I have consumed during this project.
Great, Barbara. I think it's super clear. And what about the 4 option, the reinvoice one?
Yes. Since version 18, we can also re-invoice the material that we have purchased for this project. Let's see it in an example. I'm going to create a purchase order for my vendor, and here I'm going to buy some kitchen counters. Counters are a very expensive products that are excluded from our original quotation. So I want to create the purchase order and after re-invoice it to my customer. If I go to the configurations of the product, you see that it's configured to re-invoice the cost at cost price. This means that I want to re-invoice it to the end customer for the same cost as the purchase cost. I'm going to go ahead and confirm the purchase order for my subcontractor. And before I move on, you can notice here that 2 analytic accounts were set instead of 1. This is because Sandra has added also the research and development analytic account as a part of our project as well. Going ahead with the flow, I can just receive the product and validate. I can also create the bill for my subcontractor and confirm. Now, the full flow is done. I have purchased my kitchen counters, and I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the sales order. If we open our original sales order, you're going to see that a new line has been added automatically for the countertops at the same cost price. Before, in version 17, we needed to add this line manually, which is error-prone and time-consuming, but now it's done automatically by Odoo.
Great, Barbara. And finally, we have the last case that will be impacted by all these changes. It's the case of the companies that are engineering custom machines for their customers. They normally use projects in order to track their prototypes, the progress made on their prototypes, but they also need an overview of all the manufacturing orders, purchase orders, stock pickings, and bill of materials that are involved in the process. Thanks to the top bar, here. Thanks to the top bar, they will have a direct access to the bill of materials, manufacturing orders, or purchase orders that are involved in their projects. As you can see, this is very convenient for those companies that are managing big manufacturing projects, like groundbreaking design in this case. For that, let's imagine that we need to produce a kitchen table. We can do it directly from the top bar. So by clicking here, manufacturing orders, I can directly create one. I will select our product, the kitchen table, and by doing so, you can see that the bill of material with all the components are there. I will simply here confirm our manufacturing order, but we will be able to produce it as well from here. So no need to leave the project application and to open the manufacturing one. As for the other case, like the stock moves or purchase orders, we will also have here a list of all the manufacturing orders linked to our project. As I said, this is convenient for companies that are managing big manufacturing projects, but of course not only for them, also for other types of businesses or industries, because having your all your project information centralized, it will be always very positive.
Yes, I agree. Well, if you're interested to learn more about the features that we shared today, do not hesitate to join one of our related talks. You can take a picture if you want, because they're going to be sharing more information about the features. Yep. Okay. Sandra, we have shown a lot today. We have seen the new integration between projects and manufacturing. We have seen the improvements in the Gantt view, the integration with skills. We have learned about the new top bar, and so much more. What was your favorite feature?
I cannot choose. I don't have a favorite one because I actually love all of them. If you guys have a favorite one and you want to add some feedback, please go ahead and scan the QR code. Also, if you have questions, do not hesitate to write them as well, and we will answer them in a moment because we are moving now to the Q&A part. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra and Barbara, for this amazing presentation on project. So we now have time to review the questions from the audience. There are actually many questions, so I suggest we start with how do subtasks show in the portal view for customers? So if we hide them from the view in our project, will it affect the customer view?
That's a great question. Indeed, if you decide to have the subtasks hidden in your project, they will not be visible in the portal view. So in that case, I would recommend you to keep them visible.
All right. And is the subtask option also possible to use on project? Someone is asking if we can have main project and sub-project.
You cannot have main projects and sub-projects, but you can play around maybe with tags if you want to have a category to put all of your projects together.
Or you can use a different logic, like you have your project, and instead of having sub-project, you have your task. That would be your sub-project, and then sub-task, that would be your real task, for example.
Yeah.
Speaking now about the Gantt view, if you move a task, would depend on another task. So speaking about task dependency, will the second task move as well?
Yes, indeed. So now, if you reschedule one of the tasks, all of the following tasks will be rescheduled as well.
All right. Is it possible to set the Gantt view as standard ones when I jump into the task smart button?
I'm not sure I understood the question. So can you repeat it, please?
Is it possible to set the Gantt view as standard view, I guess, once I jump into the smart button?
I think so.
What you can do is you can, wait, I'm going to go back with the breadcrumbs. Here you can select the Gantt view, and then you can save the filter with the top bar, and in that case you can save it as shared, and it will be super quick to just access this view, and it will be saved for your tasks indeed.
It was like we showed before. So in our case, I just saved it when we were in the dashboard. So that's why we have this access directly here. But yeah, I think I'm not sure I totally understood the question, but it is to have like the Gantt view as a direct access or filter. Yeah, you can do it as Barbara showed us.
Yeah, I guess this answered the question.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I create a project connected to a sales order before confirming the sales order?
Yes.
Yes, the option you show. You just have to add a service in your sales order, and even if the service is not configured to create a project, by clicking in the action button and then create project, you will have your project created. Right?
Yes, and if you first need to create the project and then the sales order, the project just needs to be set as billable. You can add the customer, and then you will have the option to create sales order inside of this project. Yes.
You also saw this new feature to come back to a previous version. So question here is, if description saved with every modification, do you have a process that deletes the history? Because this might affect the size of the database.
Ah, that's a great question. Maybe you can pass by the service booth later, because the product owner and the gurus will be there, and they probably know better about this.
Is there any way to change the colors of the task in the Gantt view to get a better global overview? And if so, how do you do it?
It's possible with Studio. So if you open Studio, you can decide based on what you want the color code. So basically, you can choose if you want different colors based on the worksheet or on the project that they're in, or things like this. But you cannot really choose which color do you want.
You also presented the new top bar. So question here is, can I limit the top bar accessibility for users? Not all users should be able to choose everything.
Normally, all the users that have access to the project application will also have access to the top bar, including the different options that we have here, depending, of course, on the other applications that are in the database. but I don't think there is a standard way to limit this. Maybe if the person who asked this question want to check it with us, you can also come after to the booth and we will test it together.
And it will also be limited to their own access rights. So they will not be able to access records that they should not.
Thank you. Something else, can we see the subcontracting cost on the dashboard project overview? The subcontracting cost.
So I think, yeah, because once you will create your bill from your purchase order for these subcontracted service. Sorry. Once you come back to the dashboard, it will be added as well here in the cost as purchase order. So it will be there.
Okay.
This is the example we created for the sink, so it will be the same, and we will have it here as well.
Thank you. Here, questions on the date that you assign on a project on the Gantt view. Will the set date range on Gantt view remove itself every time we reopen or refresh the project?
For the picker, when
What?
you select the period of the Gantt view, if next time it will be so
Exactly.
I'm
here.
not sure.
Sorry.
Maybe we can quickly test it.
Yeah, let's do it together. So I'm going to change it up end of November, and then apply. So from 1st of October, tac, 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 tac. And now Gantt view. Yeah,
It's saved.
No, it is not. No, because it took the quarter as well, because I think we
Yes,
have
yes,
maybe
you're right.
this.
Sorry, I made a mistake. So it didn't save. No.
So it's just you will select the period you want to check for this moment to do your checks.
Okay.
But this, just one more thing.
Sure.
I think this is positive because this way you avoid mistake. Maybe if you are trying to plan in some tasks and you just want to check a specific period, you will avoid to make a mistake if you keep only this period.
Makes sense. When you
The
go
next
in the
time, yeah.
future, you will want a different date.
I think it's the idea to to have it like that.
Okay.
Sorry, there are many questions.
Don't worry.
Is there a link between the project plan Gantt view and the planning app?
No. You can plan shifts for your projects in the in the planning. Yes, you just cannot plan tasks. If you want to plan tasks, then we recommend to do it from the Gantt view directly in the project app.
Yeah, it maybe depends also on your project configuration if you mark the field service option or not. In our case, we didn't do it, so we were just focusing on the Gantt view and not speaking about the planning application.
So basically, there is a related question here. Do the new features of the Gantt view replace the planning application?
Not really.
There are two different apps. So in projects, you should plan your tasks, and then in planning, you're going to still use it if you need to plan shifts, for example, for your restaurant, or they do not replace each other. They're for different purposes. But yes, if you need to plan tasks, you need to do it in the Gantt view of the project, because this way you're using the same model and you can easily access all the information on the task.
Reading here questions that people are typing at the same time. Does the version history that you showed earlier only apply to description or to everything you change?
In fact,
yes, only to description.
Yeah, but we have another option. Sorry. I'm going to open a task. I just show this content option, but you also, even if it's for the task description, as Barbara said, you also have here the comparison tab, which shows you the exactly change that you did. So it's also it can also help you in order to identify, okay, that's the version that I want to restore.
Okay.
But yeah, for the task description.
And can you also simply undo something that you just did, or?
You can control-Z, yes.
All right.
Or if you save it, just go back to the restore version.
And is it also possible to see history of the Gantt view? Or
No, it's not
really.
possible. I mean, when you change the plan date, Odoo will keep the record of the change in the chatter. But that's
That's okay.
enough.
yeah, so you still see the history in the
Yeah,
chatter. Okay.
Exactly.
Speaking about the Gantt view, someone is asking if we can see the task performed by the subcontractor on the Gantt view.
Yes, in our case, for example, we had one task for the plumbing, and it was one more task in our project. Yes, and we could see it in the Gantt view as well, like all the others.
Is it possible to create a bill of materials with the products of certain purchase orders and link them to a project so that all of this go through the analytical accounts?
So what you can do is to create your purchase order from the top bar, and of course, once you receive that project in your warehouse, it makes sense to create a bill of material for that product. You can also do it from the top bar, so all the information will be centralized there, and you will have a link which is, okay, I have my purchase order for a product, which has at the same time a bill of material, and bill of material is also linked to my project. So I would say yes, you can have a link between all those reports.
Thank you. Is there a Kanban view for subtask as well? I think
You can see if you activate the option, as Barbara has done in the demo, you can see all the subtasks in the Kanban view as also with the main task as well.
indeed. You want to show something?
Yes, because it's right here, but I can click on the bottom subtask, and we can see it in Kanban as well.
Yeah.
Nothing better than a live demo, right? I'm trying to see if we missed some question. Since we still have a bit of time. Is there a way to have extra hours made in timesheet turned into a time of allocation, or have it automatically added to payout on a payslip? So this is more on timesheet and how to deal with extra hours.
Not automated from timesheet, but maybe from attendance or from planning, you can automate your payroll, yes. But maybe for this case, I recommend you to pass the HR booth, and then they will be able to help you more.
Yeah, in timesheet, what you can do is to restrict the registration of extra hours or not. And if you check this option, then the users cannot register more than the limit you set.
How can projects be divided into sub-projects? If you have independent projects, how can you nest or merge them?
There is no option to merge projects, but you can just move tasks from one project to the other by changing the project here. So with an import, it will be just updating one field to move all the tasks to a different project.
Thank you. I see some more question adding at the bottom, going back to the bottom then. I think we covered already a lot of your questions.
Okay.
Your presentation got a lot of interest. So thank you, Barbara and Sandra, for your nice presentation. Thank you for the audience for listening.
Yes, thank
Thank you
you.
very much.